We used to think that there was a perfect place out there to live if we could only figure out what it was. And now we have so many clients who reach out to us, and the first time they've heard of Lake Oswego is on one of these videos.
Thinking of moving to an amazing small town that's beautiful, quaint, and friendly? Well, I got a big treat for you guys today because we're talking about Lake Oswego. We have the top 5 questions clients ask us when they're moving or thinking of moving right here to Lake Oswego. Let's go. I'm Aaron Cullen and this is Brian Cullen, and together we have a local real estate company right here in Lake Oswego. So if you guys are thinking of moving, whether it's next week or next year, go ahead and reach out and give us a call. I'd love to set up a Zoom call so we can discuss everything Lake Oswego. All right, let's jump right into it. Today's video is gonna be really fun.
We used to think there was like a perfect place to live if only we could figure out what it was. And then I feel like we kind of found it really just fortunately. And now we have people who reach out to us all the time and say they'd never heard of Lake Oswego until they watched one of these videos. And moving to somewhere that you've never heard of, you naturally are going to have a lot of questions. You probably do too. So hopefully hearing the types of questions we get and the way we answer them will help you too.
These are the top 5 questions that I get asked all the time. These are probably on your mind too. If you've been looking at Lake Oswego and this seems like a really cool town to move to, well, this is going to be a good one.
One quick thing is that the heat is Aaron's Achilles heel, and it's going to be almost 100 degrees here today.
Yeah.
So
Well, is today supposed to be 101?
I think 99.
Oh, came back down, 99.
If he starts to like melt before your eyes, just, he's okay.
So this is not part of the 5 questions, but here's a little bonus one for you guys. People often ask about the weather just in Portland in general, and they're worried that it's going to be too rainy, too cloudy. Well, take a look around you, around us, I should say, because here we are in July and it's blue skies. This is what you're typically going to get as far as weather throughout the entire summer. Blue skies, sunny, and today is a little unusual because it's going to almost hit 100 degrees. This whole week it's been like 90s to high 90s, and this is a heat wave here, but the humidity is very, very low, so you just like gotta get out, you know, during the beginning of the day. And if you're moving from somewhere like in the south where it's like hot and humid, well, this is probably gonna be like nothing.
And yes, it does rain a lot in the winter, but we have 4 seasons and there's just nowhere more beautiful than summer in the Pacific Northwest.
So let's get into it. Question number 1.
What is the best neighborhood? Like what areas should I be checking out in Lake Oswego?
So what is the best neighborhood in Lake Oswego and the safest? Because I get asked this all the time. People want to know, hey, what are the areas I should stay away from? That's a better way to frame that question. There are no bad areas of Lake Oswego. And just to talk about, you know, what is the safest neighborhood? They're all very safe. Lake Oswego has some of the lowest crime in the greater Portland area. So if you're looking for a safe place to live, anywhere in Lake Oswego is going to be very, very safe.
I think that's a really good way just to frame it in your mind, is that you don't have to worry about like, ooh, don't go to that area. I think if you're looking into a new city and you don't know anything about it, you do want to know that, and you really don't have to think about that. So it's really more about what you want and steering toward what you want. There's no areas you have to avoid. There are different neighborhoods that are a little bit flatter. So if you want to be able to like ride bikes down a flat street, there are neighborhoods for that. There are very forested, hillier neighborhoods with slightly larger lots. It really just depends on what you are looking for.
And then also what your budget is as well. There really is something for every budget here in Lake Oswego, as long as you can kind of start at about, you know, $650,000, $700,000. That can get you a house that's going to be on the smaller side for Lake Oswego in that 2,000 square foot range, say a 3-bed, 2-bath, and kind of goes up from there. If you don't need a huge house, you can still buy in Lake Oswego. There are also a lot of apartment options or condo options if you're not quite ready to buy yet.
One other thing just about location is that if you do need to commute into, say, Beaverton or Hillsborough or somewhere in that direction, then it might make sense to choose a neighborhood like Westlake, Oak Creek, something that has better access to the 5, because you're just gonna be 10 or 15 minutes closer to getting into work every day. But aside from that, I think really any neighborhood is up for grabs.
This is really where you should reach out and give me a call or shoot me an email so we can have a discussion about what neighborhood might be the best fit for you. Because Lake Oswego has great neighborhoods. There's about 30 different neighborhoods in Lake Oswego. They're all just a little bit different. They'll have a little bit different price points, but they're all great for their own reasons.
So this is sort of a subtopic under this question, but it's its own question. Question number 2, where's the best school? Which is the best elementary school? Which is the best high school? Should we make a decision based on the school?
Yeah, you'll see a little variance in the ratings, but overall, I'm gonna say all the schools are great here in Lake Oswego. So you're getting into the top school district in the state of Oregon for any of the schools here. But if you go and look online, you're gonna see a little bit difference. You're gonna see, hey, some are rated like a 10, some are a 7, some are 8, some a 9. So I'm not gonna go into the nuances of all the schools because they are honestly all great and amazing, and they all have pluses to them, slightly different strengths about them.
Yeah, I don't think you need to make a decision about living like in one part of town for a school because the differences are so small, and it's going to depend on like your kids and what they need and the teachers that they have. One comment that I will make is that the city is making some decisions around one of the elementary school sites and whether they will keep that as an elementary school or move those kids into a different redistrict, rezone those kids. And so if you're thinking about moving here and you want to be like walking distance to an elementary school, reach out so that we can talk to you and sort of help you navigate around that, because you wouldn't want to move walking distance to this particular elementary school and then find out that 2 years from now it's not going to be an option.
Question number 3.
Is it worth it to live in Lake Oswego? So it's pretty expensive. Is it really worth it? Are there other comparable areas?
Is it worth it? Yes, it's definitely worth it to pay the extra expense, should I say, to live in Lake Oswego. I think so. That's what I've chosen to do. Just to give you a little context, Lake Oswego, you're gonna pay about 20 to 25% more than you will for other neighborhoods like comparable areas. A good school district, I'll compare it to Westland, which is just right next door, which, hey, that could be a good option for you. You can get a lot newer house, newer updates in general for the same price as you can Lake Oswego, and you're gonna save about 20-25% on the cost, which is a pretty big savings. So if the house is more important to you than the actual location, you still get all the use of Lake Oswego because it's only like 10-minute drive. So I do think the extra cost of living here in Lake Oswego for housing is definitely worth it. You're gonna be part of that community. There really is a tight-knit community here. So if you're looking for that small town feel and to be able to get involved in the community, then I think it's definitely worth it.
I'm trying to think about a couple of other things that just make it worth it to us. I think the small town feel, when we were moving here, our real estate agent, one of the things that she said, because we were asking about how easy it is to get into Portland. I had lived in Portland in the past, and I really wanted to be able to access the city and spend time in the city with our kids. And so we were asking about like how long it takes to get there. And I remember her saying maybe 20 minutes, but you don't ever have to like go to Portland. Like everything you need is in Lake Oswego. And I was kind of like scoffed at that response because of course I'm gonna like go into Portland all the time. The truth is I still do love the vibrancy of Portland and going into the city, but I love daily life here. And it's true that everything that you need is right here in Lake Oswego. The town, the classes, the people. So that's one of the things that really makes it worth it. So if people like some of those amenities of Lake Oswego and they're interested, but the price tag just still doesn't feel comfortable and they do want maybe a newer or a bigger house, what other areas do you recommend checking out?
Definitely check out Southwest Beaverton. There's a lot of new builds, new construction going on in there. I mean, you can get a brand new house in the lower $600,000 range right now in 2024, the summer 2024, which is amazing because they also have a really good school district there. They just built a brand new high school over there, and you're a little bit further out in that southwest portion of Beaverton. So you still have a ton of shopping all around there. You're gonna have a little bit further commute if you need to go to downtown Portland, but you've also got the countryside is just right there. So if you enjoy being a little further out, a little bit quieter, Southwest Beaverton can be a great option. Or if you like a little bit of the older builds, the older neighborhoods with a little bit bigger lots, just in like Central Beaverton is a great option as well. So there's a lot of great neighborhoods that we've helped clients buy in there, and they love being in there. Tons of trails. And I think that's one of the key elements that makes Lake Oswego so special is there's so many trees and so many trails all around Lake Oswego. Westland has a bunch of trails. Beaverton has even more trails. I'm not even getting to like Northwest Portland, so that's like another area. If you want to get up Northwest Portland, have great schools up there. And then of course you're by a forest park, which is even bigger than Central Park in New York.
Yeah, and then just to popcorn out a couple of other areas to check out if schools are a priority, Sherwood would be an option. Happy Valley is another option.
Yep.
So reach out and we can hear a little bit more about you and your family and what you like to do, why you're moving, and help steer you in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the really cool things they do that's special here in Lake Oswego is they have this art council here. Well, they'll put in just really cool art displays here. They'll just be throughout the city. And Bri is actually going to be on the council here in 2024.
Yeah, I just got to meet with the executive director of the Arts Council of Lake Oswego, and this is one of their big projects. It's called the Gallery Without Walls. And so they commission sculptures and art throughout the city. The city really invests in art. And I think it's one example of something that I've been saying since we moved here, which is that it feels like the city wants us to be happy. Like they really care about the citizens' joy of living here and they invest in it. And that really goes a long way. And that, starts with events like this last weekend was 4th of July. There's a huge 4th of July parade here. It feels like the whole town comes out.
Yeah.
And then throughout the summer, there's movies in the parks and concerts in the park. And throughout the holidays, there are other things going on. And so it's really nice to live in a small town where the city is able to really cultivate that. I think us coming from Los Angeles, being in a bigger city, there's a little bit less of that ability for the city to do that.
Yeah, when you have, your own mayor, your own city council, your own police and fire department, your own city infrastructure, it just makes it that more possible. And I think that much more of involvement by the citizens, because you can control your own town and really have a say and have an input, and your volunteering, really matters.
So you might have heard that there's a lake in Lake Oswego. Fourth question, how do I get lake access?
Lake access, how do you get into that lake? I get this all the time, and you need to be very, very strategic because guess what? It's the only private lake in the state of Oregon. There's not a lot of access here. There's just under 1,000 homes that actually are on the lake, and there's about 3,000 homes that have a lake easement. There's about 20 different lake easements all around the lake, and those are basically like little community docks, and you can put, say, 5 or 8 boat slips they'll have in there. Plus they might have like little picnic tables and a grill and some little racks for stand-up paddle boards or kayaks. And so if you have an easement that's deeded to your home, you can have access to it. And those easements aren't cheap. They're anywhere from like $2,500 to $4,000 initiation to join. But then once you've joined, it's a much lower fee every year, depending on what kind of equipment you have on there. Much more affordable. And I highly recommend that you join the easement if you have one, because you can get on the wait list. All of them have wait lists for the boat slips.
So even if you get a house with an easement, you might not be getting in the lake next summer.
Well, you can get in the lake with your easement access, but you're not going to have a boat on the lake.
So a stand-up paddle board.
Yeah, stand-up paddle board or anything like that, a kayak, you can put right on the lake. But even those racks down there are probably going to have a wait list. It just depends on the easement and how busy they are. You could always carry it down there, or you have access, but still you got to join, so then you can get on the wait list for those various things, and especially for the boat.
Okay, so if you don't have a house on the lake and you don't have an easement,
yeah,
what are your other options?
Well, then you're out of luck. The next thing is you want to become friends with somebody who does have an easement or does have a boat.
There are 2 parks that are on the lake. One is very tiny and it's accessible to anyone in Lake Oswego to go swimming.
Yep, that's called the Lake Oswego Swim Park. And it's right back over that way across the peninsula.
And then there's a second park called the Lake Grove Swim Park.
That's right.
And that one is only available to about half of the people that live in Lake Oswego, and the boundary line is like really weird.
Yep.
But it's only open in the summertime when school's out for the summer, because it's actually run by the school district. but it is a beautiful shady
It's
park.
beautiful. I love that swim park.
It has like a dock that you get out on and you just get this great long view of the lake, and it has blackberry bushes around it that the kids are eating blackberries off of in the summer, and there's a little playground in there. So a lot of times on hot summer evenings, we will take dinner over to the swim park and kids will swim a little bit and we'll have dinner at one of the picnic tables, and it's really beautiful.
One of our good friends, he's a member in the dad's group that I run here in Lake Oswego. He was just texting me and he said, hey, what are you guys up to? He's like, the kids and I, we've been at the swim park for the last 5 days in a row, and our kids are here for 5 to 6 hours a day. He's like, they love it. I don't know why. He's like, they don't get bored. They can swim, they have a playground.
My favorite thing is like grass down to the lake, you know, it's like, that's how it is. It's just this big grassy field with big shady trees.
Plus they have a snack shack, which is awesome for the kids.
Popsicles.
So it's all run by the high schoolers. So it also just adds another little kind of like magical summer element to it. And it really is just picturesque, and the views of the lake from there are amazing. So even if you don't have kids, I see a lot of adults that will just go there, hang out, read a book, or just get some sun, go for a swim. But that's a great way to have access to the lake.
Right now we're looking at the lake, but literally right across the street from where we are is the Willamette River and George Rogers Park. And that's also absolutely beautiful, a great place to go stand up paddleboarding, kayaking. There's a beach down there for swimming in the summertime. And so there are other places to access the water.
And we take our kids down there all the time, and it's a lot of fun just going to the George Rogers, going to the river park. And some people even like the river even more because you can go all the way downtown, you know, if you had a boat, you know, to go down there, or you can go all the way down to like, you know, past Westland, Oregon City. So you can go a lot further and explore kind of more areas.
And also you don't see sailboats on the lake, whereas you do see sailing on the river.
That's right.
One other thing I would just also say is that right now, this time of year, the lake is so enticing and you're thinking, how do I get on the lake? But back to that weather comment, many months of the year, the lake is just something beautiful to look at.
That's
and
right.
You're not getting in the lake. And so if you don't have access to the lake, living in Lake Oswego is still just such a joy.
It really is.
And most of the year, you're not wanting to get in there anyway. It's too cold.
Yeah, that's a great point. Question number 5.
You are excited enough about the idea of Lake Oswego to come and visit, and now you want to know, what should you check out while you're here? And if you have kids, what should you do with them while you're here?
Get this question all the time. One of the things you can do, especially if you're here in the summertime, is go to the splash pad. We're walking past it right now, so you might hear the water, kids over there sticking their feet in the lake. This splash pad, I'll just spin you around right here behind me. Great way to get the kids out of the heat and get them in the water a little bit. And you're also just right here at the heart of downtown, which is just right up these steps and across these railroad tracks. Another great thing you can do is go to the local Lakeview Theater, which is just right behind the splash pad right there. And they'll show some recent movies and they'll show kids movies that are out. It's great for birthdays, so that's a little insider's tip here.
And it's the kind of small, privately owned movie theater that has great food, actually. Like, their food is worth going alone, and they have a patio where you can eat looking out on the lake. So that's one of the few restaurants that actually is overlooking the lake. It's a beautiful place to eat, and you can also get a beer or a glass of wine to take into the movie with you. If you're here in the summer, definitely check out the Saturday Farmers Market, which is right here in this area that we're walking through, Millennium Park Plaza. It's a really fun farmers market with lots of fruits and veggies, and then crafts and prepared food and live music and kids running through the grass. It's a really fun Saturday thing. We definitely try to make it if we don't have something else going on. After the farmers market or later in the day, you're gonna wanna come down to this area of downtown and go out to dinner, eat dinner outside. There's a special feeling down here. It feels like vacation in this little area in the summertime. So once we come down here and go to the farmers market, the kids and I definitely always kind of feel like, okay, I don't want to go home, now what? Also, if you're here with kids and you want to be outside, there are so many playgrounds to check out, and then there are also shadier hiking trails and parks. Tryon Creek is a really beautiful, popular hiking spot. There are places right around Lake Oswego to go berry picking, and right now is probably like blueberries, and then a little later in July and into August is blackberries.
And Blue Star Donut we're just passing by. If your kids don't like ice cream or they want a donut or you want a good coffee, they got good coffee.
I just think like berry picking and seeing your kids with like blackberry juice all over their face in the summertime is such a wholesome, beautiful thing. And one thing that I really want to say on this topic, you can have a really fun getaway weekend in Lake Oswego, especially in the summertime. But I personally think that Lake Oswego really shines in everyday life. It gets better and better the longer we live here because there are things that you don't have access to as a tourist that you do living here, like a neighborhood swimming pool or backyard barbecues with friends, running into people you know in town,
Yep.
those favorite beautiful drives through town just to like drop our kids off at ballet or run errands. Daily life is really where this town shines. The fact that it's so convenient to get everywhere in town and that parking is never like an issue. Just all those little things that just make it easy.
And let me jump right in here. Go to a local playground. Now we're right here next to George Rogers. George Rogers is a great playground.
Oswego Park, I think is the name of the playground there.
Yep, that has great playgrounds. They have a great sandbox there with a bunch of just community trucks and things that are just left there to play with. And if you want to take the kids to somewhere that's family friendly to eat, you got Lola's, which is just right up the street here near downtown.
I will just say, pretty much everywhere in Lake Oswego is kid friendly and family friendly. Like we noticed that right when we moved here. There's a Mexican restaurant called Holy Taco downtown that we used to go to quite a bit. You know, we were fairly new parents. We had an 18-month-old and going out to eat made us a little anxious, but all around us were other parents with toddlers. And so you didn't feel like weird being out and your kid making a mess.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
so
pretty
that's a really
easy.
good one. Plus they have an easy menu and a light menu. Also the burger place that we like to go to, Duke's, especially in the summer, they'll have like a cornholio game set out there outside and they have outdoor seating and indoor. So if you want to be a little louder with your kids, just go sit outside.
Yeah, the kids usually do want to go to Duke's.
Yeah, they love Duke's.
Hopefully we covered some of your questions in this video, but please don't hesitate to reach out if you have another specific question that we did not get to. We really want to hear from you and know more about you and your personal situation so that we can help you figure out if this is the right place for you.
Yeah, so go ahead and reach out if you have any questions. Again, whether you're moving next week or next year, I'm available. And if you got a lot of value out of this video, check out the next video coming up right now.